Are there any new taunts coming to ESO with this new expansion?
What do we mean by taunts?
Well, lots of fans have been asking for an AoE taunt. That is there any current
AoE
plans to add
taunts
one?
aren't ever going to happen. No.
Never.
We don't want AoE. I mean, you never say never, right? But that's not really in our DNA. Tanking is supposed to be an active thing, and in ESO, the tank's job isn't necessarily to grab every single monster. The tank's job is to grab the one that is going to kill everybody, and then as they have time, pick up the other one.
Will we see multiple Daedric Princes making an appearance in this new expansion?
I mean, all I can say to that is you're going to have to jump in and see.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not going to spoil stories.
Is there going to be a level cap increase to player or CP? And if so, how much are you raising that CP?
I mean, CP, the cap is 3,600. Like, is there really a reason to go any higher than that? Like, there's very few people that are at 3,600. In terms of gear, like, we've talked about that in the past, and, does that even really matter? Like, why would you want to increase it to CP 180 or CP 200, right? Like, it doesn't really do anything or change anything in terms of the overall kind of progression. So we don't really see a need to do any of that. We may add more things to spend CP on in the tree, but I don't think we will be increasing that cap anytime soon.
Okay. With the new City of the Dead and the huge sense of importance it has to the Dark Elves, are the Necromancer abilities that are considered crimes going to be treated more seriously in this new zone?
I mean, that's going to be one of those. That's a really cool question, by the way. But that's going to be one of those things where just kind of jump in and play and see for yourself.
Are we going to see some armor set designs based on Apocrypha?
Yes. I'll leave it at that. There's some really freaking cool ones.
Are we going to see any exclusive quest for vampires with the Dusk Sabers?
That's going to be one of those things that, again, jump in and play and see, right? Like, I don't want to spoil stuff.
For the new ability Apocrypha Gates, can the whole team use the portals or just you?
That's one of the things we're testing and playing with right now. I mean, yes. But one of the things we do in terms of our testing is right now we're looking for ways players can abuse and break this. And one of the things we definitely don't want to do is have any kind of like pre-buffing where you can do things, get yourself buffed up before you go into combat and then jump into combat and, have this either crazy alpha strike or crazy, like we had kind of pre-buffing in the game before and it was terrible because a lot of people would, go out of their way to build these crazy pre-buff sets and then swap all their gear out really quick and then get into combat. And it was just a terrible experience. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those kind of loopholes right now in our testing.
Any other details on Update 40? Like, is this specifically two-person content?
I mean, you're gonna have to wait and see on that kind of stuff. But there's lots of quality of life improvements planned and coming. I let a few of them slip. If you go back and really listen hard, so we're trying to do our best to not only improve the overall stability and polish of the game, but make players' lives easier. Necrom is not only for brand new players, it's also for veteran players and existing players, and there's kind of something for everybody. We've got a really cool 12-player trial, Insanity's Edge, that the team, and I say this all the time, but the team took a lot of feedback from Dreadsail Reef, which players really enjoyed, and they took a lot of feedback and kind of one-upped themselves in this trial. So our vets, they're really going to dig what Sanity's Edge is and what they have planned for them.
I do want to, because I do have you for a few more minutes, I do want to talk about like the challenges of what the MMO genre has become over these last decade. I mean, like the MMO used to attract a very specific type of gamer that was there for a very specific reason, right? Gear, grind that gear, first to the server, that kind of stuff. But now, and this includes ESO, there's such a plethora of gamers that play MMOs. You have like, you have your lore people that go in and play the story. You have the people who have 10 alts that want all the awesome gear. You have people who just PvP. You have people who just PvE. Yep. You have people that just want to do the professions and nothing else. They want to play economy sim. What are the challenges? And I ask you this every expansion because I think it's you learn every expansion to make sure you cover the gamut so that every genre of player has a little bit of piece that they can enjoy of the pie.
That's right there is kind of the nail on the head is how do we try to appease is not the right word, but how do we try to make sure that all of our different segments of players have something to kind of look forward to? And the way we've tried to solve it is over the course of the year, we make sure that there's kind of something for everybody. So, we haven't necessarily done that perfectly. Our PvP players are like, where's our PvP stuff? And I've talked a lot about, why that has been, delayed over the course of the last few years, just because performance sucks and we want to get that better. But we're working on that stuff. But there's, new cosmetics and item sets and things that we're putting in there to try to help with that. But we try to make sure that there's, over the course of the year, something for all those types of players. So, obviously the chapters and the story content, they're focused around kind of those people that are at the core kind of Elder Scrolls experience, that love the stories, love the exploration. But then we have those alternate activities that we put in there. That's kind of where Tales of Tribute came in. That is definitely where Antiquities and whatnot came in, where players don't need to quest and kill to do those things. They can just enjoy their time. We've obviously got the dungeons and the world events and the trials. That's appeals to those group oriented folks, and so it's one of those things we try to make sure, like I said, over the course of the year, that there's kind of something there for everybody. And it's hard because it's a really diverse group and different groups of people. And if you talk to 10 different people, they're going to tell you ESO can be played in 10 completely different ways.
And then the last question I have for you is, every year you probably talk about this, but as technology rapidly evolves, I mean, there's the RTX and architecture and all these other tools that are at your disposal. Does it ever come up in a conversation, well, we should rebuild? Like, we should stop, we should next everything and rebuild? Like, how tempting is that to do? Because it's not something you would do lightly at all, because you've done all this work.
That's a huge undertaking.
But at the same time, like, as games get older, it gets harder and harder to keep up technology, and more tools become useful for you as developers. And you're like, wow, if we had that in this would be great, but we can't build it because the architecture's too old or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's always some of that, right? You want to be perfect. You think you're a lot smarter now than you were back then. But there's also a lot of risk associated with that. Knowing what you have now, it works. And I'm saying works in air quotes, because there's always issues, right? But it works. It's proven. Going back and rebuilding something from scratch isn't necessarily going to mean it's going to be better. Sure, the technology is different and it can potentially do more things or different things, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will be more performant or that it will work better or it will be better. And that's the risk. And that's one of the things that any technology company, goes through, right? When they've been working on something for as long as they have, is there a right time to do this? Do you rip things out and start all over again? And we've done a lot of that work over the years. We've done a lot of work on the rendering. We've done a lot of work on the server. We've done a lot of that stuff, but like a wholesale rewrite of, say, the client, that is extremely risky and extremely time consuming to do. And it might not actually be the right thing to do.